Donald Trump is utterly failing right now. I want to show you what General Mattis said when he appeared on PBS's Firing Line with Margaret Hoover. This deserves to get more attention because let me also be clear. In addition to being a 4-star retired general, General Mattis served in that region in leadership roles in the Middle East, probably with more experience than any living person today. First off, after the revolution in 1979 in Iran, General Mattis was in the region. He saw firsthand how the Iranian regime engaged in terrorist attacks throughout the region. He also led troops in the Persian Gulf War, in the war in Afghanistan, as well as the Iraq War. He headed the U.S. Joint Forces Command and the U.S. Central Command, CENTCOM, from 2010 to 2013, overseeing operations across the Middle East, including Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, and Yemen. Then he served as Donald Trump's defense secretary. You'll recall that somewhere right around the end of December of 2018, he resigned because he didn't like what he saw Donald Trump doing foreign policy-wise. Then Donald Trump acted like he fired General Mattis, but General Mattis said, nope, I absolutely resign.
Did you hear that? Just one word. No, that was not a Democrat. That was not a media pundit. That was General James Mad Dog Mattis, Trump's own former defense secretary, a 4-star general who spent 43 years in the United States military, a man who commanded American troops in the Persian Gulf War, in Afghanistan, and in Iraq. He ran the entire U.S. Central Command overseeing operations across the whole Middle East from 2010 to 2013. And when asked if America can win Trump's Iran war without our allies, he said one word, no, and here is what makes this even bigger. Mattis did not say this on CNN. He did not say it on MSNBC. He said it on PBS, one of the most respected programs in America. And today, as you watch this video, Trump has just posted on Truth Social calling NATO the very alliance that sent its sons to die alongside ours after 9/11's a paper tiger. This is not normal. This is a 5-alarm fire. And by the end of this video, you are going to understand exactly what is happening and exactly what it means for every American alive today.
President Trump has said, we don't need anybody, we're the strongest nation in the world. So can the United States succeed in this war without allies, other than Israel?
No.
What is your sense of the biggest concerns from our allies right now?
Well, there are many of the same concerns that we hear from our fellow citizens. America is becoming predatory. America is unreliable. They say one thing and they change.
Here is what they are not telling you on cable news. General Mattis is not just any critic. He is not some politician trying to score points. He resigned from Trump's own cabinet because he could not stomach what he saw happening. His resignation letter, still publicly available on the Department of Defense's official website, said, "This, America must treat allies with respect. It must show a clear-eyed understanding of our adversaries." He wrote that directly to Donald Trump in December of 2018. That was 7 years ago. And every single warning Mattis put in that letter, every single one is now coming true in real time, live in front of your eyes. In a war called Operation Epic Fury, here is what this war actually is. On February 28, 2026, Trump and Netanyahu launched joint U.S.-Israeli airstrikes against Iran. The White House released a statement calling it peace through strength. The Guardian reported that Trump was actually on Air Force One when he ordered the strikes. NPR reported on what this operation means and what it does not mean. And what it does not mean, according to General Mattis, is that this regime is going to fall. This is important because Trump sold this war. Yes, I called it a war as something fast and easy. He literally called it a little excursion, military times. Confirmed that, he told Republican owners, and I quote, "We took a little excursion because we felt we had to do that to get rid of some evil, a little excursion, as if American servicemen and women are on a weekend trip." Meanwhile, Mattis, the man who has actually been in minefields, says the commander's intent for this entire operation is, in his own word, murky, not unclear, not imperfect. Murky from a 4-star general who ran the entire Middle East theater for 3 years. Think about how damning that is. This is the actual White House statement published February 28, 2026, the day Trump launched Operation Epic Fury. Read those words: peace through strength, crush the Iranian regime, end the nuclear threat. Those are big, bold promises from a man who called this whole thing a little excursion. Now look at what is actually happening 3 weeks in. The regime is still standing. Our allies refuse to join. Russia and China are pocketing the wins. And according to Trump's own former general, there is no coherent plan. When the White House statement and the reality on the ground don't match, that is not a communication failure. That is a leadership failure.
General Mattis, if we are going to deal with the regime that is in place and we are not going to do it without our allies, is there a method or a mechanism for trust rebuilding? Is there a path forward?
Yeah. And you go to the heart of it right there. There's a saying about trust. It departs on a horse at a gallop. It comes back at a very slow walk. And I get the sense it's going to take us 8 to 12 years to restore the levels of trust that the allies believe that we are once again someone they can count on. We've treated them poorly, and I think it's going to take a while to recover. But it's going to be by giving our word on something and living up to it and going back to a strategic approach. And a good strategy is an appetite suppressant to war. It is not an appetite increasing tool because you don't go off and do silly things if you've got a strategy, because it sets priorities and you don't do something. For example, reopen Russian oil, take sanctions off Russian oil, because, that's a key problem for Europe right now. You don't do certain things that end up actually causing you more problems down the road. So we're going to have to get back to thinking strategically and giving our word and living up to it.
You mentioned easing the sanctions on Russian oil. President Zelensky said that certainly does not help peace and only strengthens Russia's position. It sounds like you agree. How is China reading these actions?
Well, China is benefiting from a lot of this, and Russia is benefiting militarily because weapons that could have been given to Ukraine are not being given. They're being used in other places, that sort of thing. Economically, Russia is benefiting. So right now, China and Russia are probably benefiting from this war.
I want you to really sit with what you just heard. 8 to 12 years. That is how long General Mattis says it will take just to rebuild the trust that Trump has destroyed with our allies. Not to rebuild armies, not to rebuild bases, just to rebuild trust, the belief that America keeps its word. And now I want to show you exactly what Mattis is talking about, because it is verified by multiple major news organizations. The New York Times confirmed on March 12, 2026, that Trump temporarily lifted sanctions on Russian oil. Think about that. We are at war in the Middle East. Energy prices are spiking, and Trump's answer was to give Russia a financial lifeline. NBC News reported that the administration said it was done to contain energy prices. But here is what they did not say. As Mattis pointed out, and this is critically important, easing Russian oil sanctions hurts Europe. It strengthens Putin economically, and it signals to every one of our allies that American policy can flip in a day based on whatever Trump feels like doing. This is exactly what Mattis called a strategic disconnect. You cannot ask NATO allies to increase their defense spending and impose tariffs on them and ease Russia's sanctions and call them a paper tiger on Truth Social all in the same week. Bloomberg just confirmed on March 18th that China's military is now studying this war for lessons on how to fight the United States. Russia is benefiting militarily because weapons meant for Ukraine are being diverted. China is watching our munitions stocks drain. General Mattis saw all of this coming, every single word of it. And he told Trump to his face, and Trump ignored him. What you are looking at is real. This is not satire. This is not a parody account. The President of the United States posted on social media calling NATO the alliance that stood with us after 9/11's a paper tiger. He called our allies cowards. And while Trump was posting that, NATO countries were rejecting his request to send their warships to the Strait of Hormuz. CNN confirmed that. ABC News confirmed that. Now remember what Mattis said. Denmark lost more soldiers per capita than the United States in Afghanistan. Denmark, the country Trump tried to bully into selling us Greenland, their boys bled and died alongside ours, and Trump's response is to call them a paper tiger. Mattis warned that America was becoming unreliable. This is what unreliable looks like.
They have a list of what are the indicators of an autocrat staying in power. There's over 70 indicators, and they look at all these things. One of those indicators outweighs all the rest. Will the regime murder their own people at the industrial level? If they will, they're going to stay in power. You have an unarmed population up against a very well-armed regime that is fighting a total war right now. Total war. We're fighting a limited war. The American president a week ago called it a little excursion. But they are fighting for their lives, the mullahs are, because the people probably will kill them if they overthrow them. They're just that angry at them. So they're fighting like that. What have we learned from it? It's going to be a darn difficult problem.
A darn difficult problem. That is how a 4-star general who spent 43 years in service ends that interview. Not with optimism, not with a pep talk, with honesty. The kind of honesty that this administration is completely incapable of giving you. Let me summarize exactly what you just learned from verified, sourced facts, not opinion, not spin. Number 1, General Mattis, Trump's own former defense secretary, says the Iranian regime will not fall. He says it is very unlikely, that contradicts everything Trump promised when he launched this war. Number 2, Mattis says it will take 8 to 12 years to rebuild the trust our allies once had in us. That is not my opinion, that came from the man who ran CENTCOM, sourced by PBS. Number 3. Trump eased sanctions on Russian oil in the middle of a war, helping Putin economically. The New York Times confirmed it. Our European allies are furious. Number 4. Bloomberg reported on March 18th that China is now using this war as a military study. They are watching our weapons drain. They are taking notes for Taiwan. Number 5. As of today, March 20th, 2026, Trump has called NATO the alliance whose members bled and died for us after September 11th, a paper tiger. Here is my opinion stated clearly, as my own. What we are witnessing is not just a policy failure. It is a failure of basic judgment, a failure of basic decency toward the allies who have sacrificed alongside us for decades. And the people paying the price are not the billionaires in Mar-a-Lago. The people paying the price are American service members, European families, Ukrainian soldiers fighting with less because our weapons went somewhere else, and the Iranian people who, as Mattis said, are told by their regime, don't demonstrate or we will shoot your children. This is why elections matter. This is why your voice matters. Because when leaders refuse to listen, history makes sure somebody pays the bill. Don't let it be your grandchildren.
Can the United States succeed in this war without allies, other than Israel?
No.
What is your sense of the biggest concerns from our allies right now?
Well, there are many of the same concerns that we hear from our fellow citizens. America is becoming predatory. America is unreliable. They say one thing and they change.
If this video opened your eyes, hit that subscribe button right now, because this story is just getting started and I cover it every single day. Don't miss what's coming next. The truth is out there, and together we are going to make sure it gets heard.